to Hello West Michigan. This is Grand Tap Media Business TV. My name is Pamela Keim, your host. The spirit of the show is to introduce West Michigan to all the businesses, leaders, and nonprofits that can help us thrive in our lives. We are recording today out of WKTV, so I want to thank them for this, but I am going to be returning back to Nicole Scheffler. We were interviewing her yesterday, and that didn't even go out yet. But she was so fascinating because she is from the tech world, and she's trying to, her mission is to bring more women into the tech industry. And so she has a podcast, and she does speeches and all those good things to get her mission out there and to reach women. So I want to welcome back to the show, Nicole Scheffler. Thank you so much for coming back today. I know it was only 24 hours, but here we are.
No, it's my pleasure. It's always good to keep the conversation burning, and happy to be back today. There's plenty to talk about when it comes to women in technology.
Okay, let's just refresh really quickly. You chose this industry basically because you saw an opportunity to make a lot more money than you currently were going to be in teaching, correct? Something of that sort you were going to do?
Yes.
Okay, share a little bit about that and what are some of the, I want you to share a little bit some of the misconceptions of being in the tech world, like you guys are all nerds, you guys aren't fun to be around, things like that. So,
yeah, I mean, I think part of it could have been my being raised around a lot of boys and men and I played like golf and sports, and when you're in that world, I liked it, right? And I guess early on I realized that my perspective being different as a woman was valued. So anytime you have a male dominated field and you're the only woman or you're the woman, you can bring something different. It's very easy to come up with solutions that no one else has thought of because we're it's embedded in us to have different ways of thinking,
right.
Which is why I thrived kind of in the DJ scene, because it was just a different approach to both going at gigs and then producing music and the vibe of
I like
scene.
how you say that, going at gigs, right? I mean, that
sounds so much cooler and glorious.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. You know, okay, really, the techie world is always perceived as kind of nerdy. But is it really? The nerds are they just think different or what?
No, I mean, I think we're also at a time where there's generations of young talent that is being raised as digital. They have the phrase, it's like digital nomads and digital natives. So we moved into the digital age in my era, because I'm not 40 yet, but I'm in my 30s. So,
right.
We had half and half. And then now you have people that are digital natives. They're born in a society of the internet, which is so nice compared to what we had, having to look things up in the Dewey Decimal System of the library.
Oh, I know,
grab books. But I think that there's something for everyone in technology. And when I speak to whether it's young women or transitioning women into the field of technology or even current, it's about what are you passionate about? And chances are in the field of technology, you can do something. If you're passionate about helping people and fashion, then you can go into like a connected, IoT fashion industry piece, right? There's so much you can do in the field. And once you learn one skill, you can hop around. And that's what I've done in my career, is kind of created my own job rotation to experience lots of different things, learn new things. So I would say technology as a career, yes, there are nerds,
right?
But it's more like, are you excited about new things? So instead of being like I don't build computers or anything like that, but can you solve problems? Because that's a lot of what technology is. When your internet isn't working, what do? You've got to start figuring out how to solve that problem. Well, is it powered on? Should I reboot it? Do I need to call my provider? Is it my device? There's like these layers of troubleshooting that are very related to basic problem solving skills.
Let me ask you this. Okay, so I raised, I hear this behind closed doors, so I'm just going to come out and say it, that they think guys are more apt to explore and women are more apt to perfect. Like, what do we have already? How do we make a process? How do we make, what are you seeing on that level? Because guys are like, they try to figure out things. But you're figuring out problems. What I'm saying is they like to go to the moon. I mean, think what I'm talking about with wanting to go where nobody's gone before. And they say women sometimes like to just perfect what that's already, you know what I'm saying, to make the system work and more efficient. So what are your thoughts on that, on their take on what men are saying sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to stereotype like men are this or women are this. But I think that the joy of what I see is the diversity in those two, whether it's a man or a woman, or even a woman and a woman who think different ways, is to figure out how to use design thinking. That is something that I'm seeing very strong in the tech space to solve the problem so that everyone has a voice. So, an example of like, what does this really mean in design thinking is coming into a project and saying, okay, everyone who was involved, so you have all the different voices represented, what was working, what wasn't working, and what do we need to continue doing? So, like, so what can we start doing better? What can we stop doing? What can we continue doing? And making sure everyone has a voice in it and having it be more collaborative to solve those problems. So, the traditional corporate structure of power is being a little bit broken down because we want to have the diversity of voices. Now, I'll say that it's very equal to this. If you have 6 people in a car, completely different ages, completely different race, genders, and you say, where do we want to go out to eat? You know, like in my
Right.
household, one person's going to want to go to McDonald's, one person wants to eat healthy at Core Life, one person wants to, go have Italian food.
Right.
And what you have to do is between the 6 people figure out, well, it's Pamela's birthday, so we're going to let her choose because we want to do something. What's something that you like that everyone would like? Oh, sushi. Great, we'll do that. Everyone will enjoy it. So you start to solve a problem. Well, that's just like in corporate America when we're dealing with technical solutions, innovations. It is harder to deal with the diversity of the ideas. It's just harder, right? If you have 6 people who are the same, who go to lunch every day, they get in the car and they say, we're going to eat at Rivertown today. Great.
Right.
Done. Right? If everyone thinks the same, it's easier. So there is less of a rub because everyone thinks the same.
Right.
So that's what's happening in a world of technology where you might be the one woman. It is harder. That's why we have these communities. It's harder because you are the person saying, I want to eat pizza when everyone wants to go to sushi, right? Like you're the outlier. But what people have to realize, and what I try to preach in my position of advocacy for diversity in tech, is that that's the beauty of it. Like you unlock all the solutions when you think about it. And someone says, oh, well, this new smoothie place opened. Why don't we go there? Oh, well, we didn't know that, right? So women bring to the table like the new perspective of the new restaurant or the new idea that could allow us to explore new frontiers. So it's a lot about the collaboration, the design thinking, the way to bring all the ideas to the table, and the way that we're starting to train formally in corporate America, things like unconscious bias training, things like open, like the way we solve problems, being more open and allowing more of those voices to be heard.
Well, okay, so we all know, I mean, I'm just got my phone here, that we probably never in our lifetime did we ever have our phone with us. Even when the first cell phones came out, they weren't. Now everything's on here. I mean, if you got lost or whatever, and we've just like, that's all you do is when you're sitting, what are your concerns about that? It's like you're sitting, where's my phone? Where's my phone? I mean, I'm constantly, I'll go back home to get my phone, right? What are your, you've seen this evolve because, you are in your 30s, but you've seen this evolve, but you probably look at restaurants. I'm kind of concerned that everybody's looking down at their phones at all times, pretty much. What are you thinking when being in the tech world? You guys have caused this problem, Nicole.
I mean, I'm part of it, right? Like I am addicted to it, and like I love my Apple Watch because I could be like, "Where's my phone?" Like if I don't know where it is, and I'm like, "Wow, this is disturbing." Like I disturb myself on like how much I rely on it and how much adrenaline we get to it, and it really is a reminder.
It takes us away from other things. It's not like a like people were saying we're addicted to this. This is an example I just heard yesterday on a speech. And anyways, the guy goes, it's different for like an alcoholic or a druggie. It's it's not the same thing because then people have the addiction to this, and it's robbing them of like having a hobby. Like you say, I'm a golfer, you're a golfer. Right away, I thought, well, we're going to go off this summer
Yes.
sometime, right?
Yes. I'm
But
ready.
you're not building a life outside of this phone.
Yes.
And so they're robbing themselves of opportunity of just doing a craft. I grew up on those things, of going to my church. Now everybody, to be honest, even I get home and first thing I do, I've been on the computer all day at the castle. I go home and the first thing after dinner is I pop open my laptop and I'm back at work. What are your thoughts on that? You probably are doing the same thing. And
I am. I have to monitor it. A lot of it comes down to a principle called mastering the technology you need. I think I alluded a little bit on part 1 of the series, but
right.
we have an unlimited amount of time that we could spend. You could spend your entire life here. Someone's even calling right now. You could spend in fact,
well,
right now.
Probably, right? Yeah.
People are always trying to get in touch with you. So there's some good, and then there's some opportunity that we could definitely be better, right? So when it comes to mastering the technology you need, it's a principle I go back to say, is this serving my goals? So I try to be more regimented. Like, I am trying to accomplish A and B and C in my life. And if I'm doing this on my phone, is it allowing me to drive towards that? And like, I do goals in 7 areas. So like, it could be my friendships, and that's okay. Like, in a virtual world that we're in with COVID, we might find like connecting with your family or being on FaceTime. I ran in this year the first time of exhaustion on Christmas, trying to have my kid like mixing Christmas Day with like 5 Zoom meetings because, my parents wanted to say hi, and then these people wanted to say hi. And I was like, wow, by the last one, she just wanted to open her present. So at the end of the day, the biggest message I would have is that it takes us out of the now. It takes us out of the present moment of life. And if you look back and say, what did I accomplish today? Well, you could be like, well, I kind of scrolled too much on Instagram today. But then
I think everybody would say that, right?
You would look at it like, okay, what am I doing this week? And then you're like, oh, I really watched too much YouTube, right? And then you look at the months and the years, and time slips away. And that's time that you could have been in nature. We really need to be pushing more to counter the online.
Right.
I have about 10 acres up in Reed City, which is only about an hour and a half from Grand Rapids.
Right,
and I'm looking this summer of turning on some offline tech retreats. So bringing people out into nature and having them do some of the inner work that I do with success coaching, just offline, just off grid, to see what does it feel like to not have that, and have people reflect on not having their phone, on not having the internet. But when you are doing it, so one, it's the balance of forcing yourself to schedule in that time more. And then 2, it's understanding what you're consuming and how is that feeding your goals. And, I'll be guilty of watching some Bachelor, some Bachelorette, some, mindless TV sometimes for me allows me to disconnect from the heady techie stuff that I do all the time. And that's okay. But how much are you doing it?
Okay, let's talk about, because you were out there making speeches before COVID, right? You're on these podcasts, and doing this virtual stuff from people. What message are you telling women, and what are some of the misconceptions they come up to you and say, oh no, I don't want to be because of, I think it's this. What are you telling them about the tech world?
Yeah, so I've done a lot of work with the Michigan Council of Women in Technology, which is a huge Michigan-based nonprofit that works in a foundation that helps make Michigan the #1 state for women in technology. So luckily we have a strong network of women. Now, when I speak to women, there's 2 different groups. There's the younger women, and sometimes the speeches there will be a little bit of education on cyberbullying, social media, but most of all for the younger ladies is letting them know that this is an option. Like, we oftentimes look at careers like, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a nurse, you want to work, like, there's just traditional careers. People don't think, I want to be a pre-sales engineer for a tech company. It's not, doesn't roll off your tongue,
No,
right?
it doesn't. And everybody kind of goes, what is that? Yeah. What does that mean?
Or
right?
even like Cisco as a networking company. Like, no one really thinks about how we connect those things. So sometimes I'll challenge them to say, how do you love the internet, right? And they'll be like, yeah, we love the internet. And I was like, you guys love Snapchat and TikTok. And they're like, yeah. And I said, how is that connecting? Who can explain to me how the internet works in your home? And I challenge them to do an exercise that's very easy for the younger generations, and parents can help, is to draw a diagram, a network diagram of however they want to do that artistically of their home network.
Right.
Okay, so you know, Xfinity provides your internet connection. How fast is it? How fast is it up and down? And then what does it go to? And then how does that wireless come into your house? And why are you attached to this network name or SSID versus others? And like start taking them down that path and saying that they should be aware of how that works, because that's what they're going to need the rest of their life. I think they said college students need like food, water, clothing, and like internet.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the way it
like a
all is. They
necessity.
connect it. And what do they say when you are talking to them? I mean, you know.
Oh,
Nicole.
I love getting them like fired up about it. And the main thing is letting them know again that they can do whatever they're passionate about. If they're passionate about animals, they could design a website for pets.com and be a developer that helps present dog food. You know, like there's
Right.
everything in the world that relies on technology now. Even if you're doing something holistic healing, well, you have to have technology to get to your people.
Right. Right.
So that's for the younger
the
generation.
do you work with other countries on what's going on in
Yes.
the tech world, and how are they with women in the tech industry, like other foreign countries?
Yeah, it's different everywhere. You know, culturally, there's different breakthroughs, just like we have in equality everywhere. For you know, if you just take a society approach, and a lot of it is cultural norms. So even in America, if I'm like, I am the breadwinner for my family, and my husband's staying home right now for this chapter of our daughter's lives.
Okay.
And people will ask him, like, oh, you're staying home? Like, I can't, like, what are you going to do? And it's like, well, that's a full-time job. Like, let me hand you a 4-month-old and a 4-year-old, and you tell me what you're doing,
Yeah. Right.
you know? But people don't ask women those same questions. So I think we have to get away from like a cultural norm on what is the right thing to do. Like, it doesn't have to be the man works, but there's still these cultural norms that are embedded in us as well, where they don't feel valuable unless they're bringing home money and they're bringing home like the putting the food on the table type
Well,
of
their career
attitude.
is part of their identity, and
Yes,
women,
it
it's
is.
more of their home is half. But still, women are kind of expected, especially once your kids go to school. It's like, it's the first thing people ask you: are you going to get a job? Are you going to get a job? Are you going to get a
Yeah.
job? You know, and so it's like, you know, you're like, oh, and that's what I felt like when my youngest went to school, and I did. And by God, did I regret that, because once you get back into it and get that income
Yeah.
and start going in it,
Hard to walk away.
it's hard to walk away. It's
Mhm.
hard to walk away.
And you have
Yeah.
guilt. So like me as a working mom, I'm guilty that, you know, I did my dream board, my vision board, and I printed out, you know, I have it, I think here, I'll pull it out, but I printed it out and I showed my daughter, and on it is like this beautiful house. This is it. I know you guys are on video.
Wow.
There's this beautiful home on the lake here, right?
Uh-huh.
And she goes, so that's why you're doing all this work, so we can have this home on the lake? Like, you're doing all that for that big house? And I was like, ooh, sometimes the truth of these kids, you know, like,
Uh-huh.
but I'm really doing it to supply for our family and pay our mortgage and pay our bills.
Right.
But like, kids are just so innocent to like what is really important, right? So I have to know too that I'm setting an example, and I am not able to be there for all like the first moments. Like, there is give and take in every position, whether you're staying at home or not, or working or not. There's benefits, but I think as a mom there is a little more guilt. But that's something that you choose an employer. Perhaps when you're choosing jobs, we have a great opportunity now when you're looking at the job market to find a job where you're maybe remote, so that you can be
Right.
there for the soccer games, or you can go feed your kid on break upstairs like I often do, right? Things like
That
that.
is
So
true.
looking for the flexibility.
Now let's talk about, you worked with women and men probably throughout
Yes.
your, you know, your years. So tell me, is there really mostly you're dominating men in this field that you're in. What are they like compared? Can you just give us a little bit of synopsis of what it's like to work with just men, and we're mostly men? and then women.
I personally like it. I feel like I'm a little bit like you. I know you like kind of hanging out with the guys,
Yes,
and I
I
and I
do.
feel
I
like
do. Yeah.
I do too, right? I've always been that way. I think that's why I liked the DJ scene a lot because it was hanging out with guys. So I think a lot of it is just the fact that they like to focus on solutions and getting things done and
Mm-hmm.
being competitive. And like, I like that part of it, right? I'm in sales, right? So yes, I'm building technology, but I want to help people realize why my technology can help them solve their business problems better than the competitor.
Yeah, really.
uh,
I love being with men. And I always tell David that, I had 4 sisters, and we're very catty. We're very competitive more than we should, and I just drives me crazy sometimes when I'm around that. I don't know why. I think it's just embedded in us, but it's not fun to be around all the time. It's like, you know
No,
what I
I don't.
mean?
That's what I don't enjoy. Like, I think it all comes. Yeah, I agree. It kind of comes down to that drive of wanting to stay out of the drama,
Hmm.
and that's
You know what I love
definitely
best is
how
when we're
I
out
feel.
to
Like,
dinner with them. This is great. If I'm out, right, especially at the golfing or we end up at an event, it's guys don't look at the menu. They don't think about their food. They just order what they want. I don't know how many times you go with women. It's like, they go through and even if you order, I'm like, whoa, I mean, they have a judgment of everything. And I said, guys don't think it, because my husband says, we eat to enjoy. You guys eat out of guilt. You guys don't enjoy I can sit there with my husband with a whole thing, a concrete mixer this big, and he'll eat every bite and not even enjoy every bite. And me, I'm thinking I should leave a little bit behind. I shouldn't take it all. Or, you know what I mean? And that's how they're always like. They play golf to play golf and have fun. I don't know why, but I don't. I have friends that do it now, but I don't feel the same way sometimes. I just feel like they're always putting either guilt on us because I'm at a different age than they are. Like, oh, it must be nice to be able to golf all day. But I was home every day with my kids. I'm like, I did that season. Do you know what I'm saying? That I don't know if
yeah,
it's just embedded in us or what. You know,
I think it's like talking about people too. Like, I'm not one to sit around and talk about the Joneses.
right?
Like, I don't enjoy that. I like talking about solutions and things that are happening in the world, and talking about innovations and, oh, did you see this cool technology that came out, or did you see this opportunity? And I find that men do try to do that a little more. I'm just attracted to it, and I think that real men understand the value of the unique perspective, but it's
Right.
about how you present it too. You also have to watch how you bring things to the table, and how you react. So it does come down to working well in a male dominated environment, and it's something that I help coach women on is how can you be successful in your career in a male dominated field? What are some things you can do? Like, for example, I was told very young in my career that I was very defensive and took things personally. So I
I
thought,
was like
okay.
that too. Yeah.
But then I just started to learn things like feedback being a gift, and like, all it was me wanting to be my best. All it really was me knowing or worked so hard on it. So when someone came and said, Nicole, what is this? I'll be like, I did that. I did all of those things. Like, and all I was doing was justifying my hard work.
Yes.
But
Hmm.
they didn't like the way it came across. So you have to kind of you have to listen for cues, just like if a male was in a full female dominated thing, like some of the things that they would do, they would have to adjust how you communicate with others, and that comes down to people's communication love language, I guess, right? Just like
Right.
we have
Well,
our
and I
love
do have
languages.
guys have a tendency once they're done with something, they're done with it.
Yeah.
We have a tendency to want to relive it. And my husband will say that. He's like, "Oh, I don't even think, I'm thinking, are you thinking about that?" He goes, I'm not even thinking about it. It was like months ago. It's over. It's done. We dealt with it and it's moving on. And I think women have a tendency to, bring those kind of things up. All right, let's talk about what you would like to see in the tech world for women to coming in and your vision and where you're going from here once everything does open up, right? Because let's talk a little bit about your podcast and how you're going to be sharing that.
Yes,
And so
absolutely.
so
Yeah, I mean, what we can do is, it's amazing that the movement in America for equality and like the conversations that we're having around race really do apply to gender as well. So I'm happy that we're having more of those conversations so that we can benefit from that, the 6 people in the car, because you're going to learn about 6 new restaurants, you're going to learn about 6 new solutions, right? So I think we can continue to drive that and continue to monitor our behavior just like we would with social justice and racial equality, right? Looking at what we say. And I think men in a male dominated field like technology can look at what they do and how they can be part of an inclusive culture. But that's not just men. Everyone needs to be a part of an inclusive culture. This next generation coming up right now is really great because they are more open and more full of like being authentic and true to themselves. And I think that that's really valuable. On the show, I think I did a podcast yesterday, and I have 2 podcasts actually: Diva Tech Talk, which tells career journeys of women in tech, and
Right.
Tech Diva Success, which is tech tips. And we talked about pay parity. Women are still only earning 77 cents on the dollar to men. So I want women to come into their power. I want them to find that spark that lights up something in them that keeps them excited about the career in tech. If they don't love where they're at and love what they're doing, then I want them to have the goals and ambition and the structure of a process that can help them evaluate where you are, where you want to be, and provide that in a repeatable, scalable way on the side so that I can continue to lead myself in corporate. And
No, and that's kids or whatever. If you ask for too much, don't ask for too much, or because we saw that
yes,
when corporate downsized, we saw people with higher salaries get gone. You know,
yes.
but when you're out there, when you're talking to women, right, and you're going to be doing that, are you seeing real quickly because we only about 4 minutes left? Are you seeing on the university level? Are you seeing more women choosing that career because they've been growing up on these devices and things?
Yes, I think that the computer science, the programming being in young and making it a little more fun, a little bit less geeky. I think some of the technology we have to do coding becomes a little more visual. Women are, for example, very strong in user experience because it's a very visceral thing. That like just like in an interior design is kind of a women's
Right.
dominated field, right? Because we like to see how it looks and feels. And so the user experience of applications is a great way that women can contribute. But I think they can contribute at all levels. It just depends on bringing your skills. And I think we will see more women. We just need to both get them in the pipeline and let them know that this is an opportunity. That's the most important, that there are lots of opportunities in technology and we want them to come into the field of technology. And then the second is staying there, retaining the talent through maternity leave, through a hard time, like knowing that one guy is not going to be representative of the entire culture. So coming together to help women who might be in a bad situation. Um,
All right, before we wrap this up, love talking to you, and I'd love to have you dedicate your book to the Grand Castle Library. So let's
yes.
after this, let's put that on the calendar. All right, now we're going to wrap this up. How can they reach you, and how can they find your podcast and learn more about
Yes.
getting into the techie world? Because you definitely look like you've done very
Absolutely.
well. Yeah.
I would love to spark success for women or even men to help build a diverse workforce. And that is at techdivasuccess.com. From there, you can hit the books tab as well. And I am giving away for free for all of your listeners and watchers out there, or anyone, any of my fans. You can get my whole chapter from the book of
Okay.
Pillars of Success with Jack Canfield. I'm giving away my chapter, which explains the value of diversity and force proven success steps. So you can get that for free downloaded from my website as well.
All right. Well, thank you for coming back for part 2. And I'd love to have you
Yes.
come back even more as we move into 2021, because we know who knows what's going to happen with all the tech that's coming out with people being like in COVID and had nothing but this. I think there's going to be a lot more innovative stuff coming out in the future. But thank you. We wish you all the success, and we will have
Yes.
you back. Thank you, Nicole Scheffler. And I hope your podcast well, it is doing very well, but I would love to share that on my platforms also. All right.
Yes. No, we got to keep it going.
All
Keep
right.
that fire
Thank you,
burning.
my
Keep the
dear.
fire
Take
burning.
care.
Thanks, Pamela.